So we will call the select board meeting for Monday, April 27th, 2020 to order at 7:05 p.m. Review the agenda for additions, removal, or adjustments of any items. Valerie, do we have anything to add?
No, nothing to add, please.
First order, let's overview Zoom. The other night we did a meeting, and I'm not sure if this will work for this, but if people have questions that are out there and they want to send them to us via chat, or send me a chat, say they want to talk, then I can give you the floor. See if that'll work better than everybody trying to talk over each other.
I think it worked well for that meeting.
It did work well for that meeting. And if everybody would also mute themselves so we don't have any feedback, that would be good. Okay, public forum. Anybody?
Michelle?
Yeah, who's that, Tasha?
Yeah, the only thing I would say to that about the chat thing is if you could just say who said it.
Yes, I will.
The notes, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
I will do that. Public forum. It's a chance for anybody who has something they would like to talk about for less than 5 minutes. It's not on the agenda. Is there anybody
John
who'd
Moyers
like to?
does.
What's that?
John Moyers does.
Oh. Hi, John. Go ahead.
Good evening. I just have a question. Somebody mentioned on the front forum recently, it was about the solar project, but in passing, they were talking about composting again at our landfill site, garden waste composting, I think it was. And I just wonder, is that actually a realistic possibility? Because if it were, I would love to see that in some form or shape. That's all. Just wondering if you can give me a sense, is that totally out or is that maybe a possibility?
I won't say it's totally out, but we haven't discussed that at all. That hasn't been brought up. I mean, that was the first time I'd seen it was on the Front Porch Forum post the other day. Val, do you know anything more about that than that? Yeah.
I don't.
Is it something worth looking into? Because boy, if we had that, it would save a lot of trips to Middlebury.
Okay.
I think Eric might have some information, but he has
Make sure
to
you unmute yourself, Eric.
Yeah, I saw it on Front Porch Forum about putting in the landfill. And as of right now, there is not any room in the landfill for that. With the piles that we got down below, for our stone and gravel and stuff, there's not really that much area down there left to be used for a compost pile. So just keep that in the back of your head.
Okay.
It might be something we can explore with the solid waste district.
Joel?
Yeah, I think Valerie's right. We'd have to bring that to solid waste committee because they do take all the district's garden waste down there and compost it through Vermont Ag over on Butch Street. Or Valerie and I can check next board meeting we have with the Addison County.
Is that part of the contract, Joel?
I believe it is.
Okay.
Part of joining the district, you get to bring your compost to Middlebury. That's why they have to take our garbage and everything.
Do we have any current plans in terms of the law that might be coming in July 1st? How the town might handle that? I know that there have been meetings and various sort of workshops and stuff like that, but I don't know where we are in terms of the town.
Ian, you were all broke up. Something about July 1st. That's all I heard.
The food scrap that's coming in on July 1st in terms of statewide, does the town have any plans on how they might handle that?
I believe there's a bill in the legislature to delay that. I don't know to what date exactly, but there's an effort out there to push that date back.
But it's probably something that we'll need to put on the select board's agenda in the near future.
Well, and I know that RL and Mr. Palmer both already separate food waste out when they pick it up, so. Okay. Go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, Ian, I've talked to RNL and they are ready to take food scraps. They're going to try starting around June 1st, and everybody's going to get a flyer when they go to the landfill on Saturdays pretty soon about how to bring it in. And you can call the district office and get whether they're selling them or giving them away, I'm not quite sure. think at first they started giving them away, then they ran out. They had to order more. 5-gallon pails to put in your kitchen or on your back porch or wherever to put your scrap in. And then once a week, you take it over on Saturdays.
Okay, good to know.
I'd like to make a recommendation to encourage backyard composting. It's not hard, it's affordable, and it's a really great thing to do.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Val.
Joel and I attended a workshop in Middlebury, and we began to make arrangements for the solid waste district folks to put on a workshop in Bristol. And at the workshop, they brought the pails to give to the participants, and they'd probably do the same thing when we're able to arrange for that in Bristol, but it won't. There's no target date for that right now.
Peeker, did you have something?
Yeah, I just, the way the law reads, it's the hauler's responsibility to furnish that service. So whoever is picking up your trash, or if you're taking it to the transfer station or taking it to RL over at the Bristol Town Garage, it's their responsibility to furnish a place for that to go if you're not composting in your backyard.
Okay.
And the district is selling those composting things if you want to get them through the district.
Okay. Anything else? John, is that enough information for you now?
Well, I was actually not so concerned about food waste. I was really in particular asking about yard waste, leaf and yard waste, that sort of thing, totally distinct from food composting. But I just wondered, if there's anything that prevents us. I know the state shut us down from that yard waste collection, occasional burning. I'm just wondering if there's anything that would keep us as a town from opening that kind of capacity back up.
Good question.
Is there any desire on the select board level to have such a capacity in town?
I don't know. I have to say we haven't talked about it, so I don't know. Peeker, you want something you've got to say?
Yeah, well, it would require us hiring somebody to monitor it. Even the last time when we did take leaf litter and brush and that, it was always a bag of garbage got snuck in under the leaves or in the brush, and so there'd have to be somebody there to police it. Unfortunately, we can't leave it to the individuals to police themselves.
Joel, go ahead.
And about the 1st of May, John, you are going to start seeing a roll-off container for R&L over there that's left during the week. And he leaves that there for people to throw their lawn waste in month of May and the month of October. He usually leaves them there. I know spring came a little earlier. It wants to come a little earlier now. But you will see a drop-off, a big, huge roll-off over there pretty soon.
Wasn't that discontinued last year?
It might have been because garbage was here again, as Peeker said. If you can't, that people are going to sneak something in on I see traffic go over there all kinds of hours of the day and night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that might have been
Not the
discontinued.
road crews going over.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. First order of business, consent agenda. First one, annual landfill inspection foreclosure agreement contract, Green Mountain Engineering. Reappointment of Ed Shepherd as Bristol Fire Warden for 5-year term. Banner application at West Street location by Van Abe Union High School, May 15th through June 30th to honor the class of 2020. Request from Jay Hutchins to use municipal water for Monttrans paving project dust control. That last one, the recommendation is to prove that with the condition that connection to a hydrant be coordinated with VTUMs and that their time and the amount of water used be billed to the contractor. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda. I got just one question, that's all.
Go ahead, Joel. Somebody want a second?
Second.
Just number 3, that's the location by the post office, right? They're going to hang the banner?
Correct.
Not over by the Mount Abe.
Right.
Correct.
It's for Mount Abraham Union High School seniors, but
Right.
but it says location by Mount Abraham Union High School. I thought the banner was going to be hung over there.
No, it says West Street location by Mount
Right,
Abe.
that's West Street, Michelle.
Yeah,
That's West Street.
that's true. Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
I had a question.
Go ahead, Ian.
So we have for the first one for Green Mountain Engineering, this is for the landfill.
Yep.
When talking with Jen or emailing with Jen, just in terms of how the budget for the landfill, how that works out, there were 3 companies that we pay: Easter Analytic, LE Environmental, and Lincoln Applied Geology. Does the Green Mountain Engineering make that a 4th company we pay?
Yes.
Because it's groundwater testing, groundwater sampling, and then gas monitoring. And so then there's the additional one of Green Mountain Engineering to do a yearly inspection.
Right.
Okay.
Of the cap.
Okay. I just wanted to understand that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Regular business, continued discussion of Acorn Solar Project on Bristol Landfill Memorandum of Understanding and Lease Option. May include deliberation executive session. Okay, Valerie, so where are we at?
The select board received updated copies of the MOU summary sheet and the principal lease terms with some adjustments. And then an email was also provided to provide some additional clarification. Trying to find that. So maybe if, see if I have, let's see here.
I mean, I was gonna say pick one and let's talk about that and then we'll pick the other.
Okay. Well, I guess the, let's see here. Lease term.
Okay, so, okay, that's the Schedule B, right?
So here,
The memo. Okay.
Yeah. So the strikeout is intended to reflect what the select board deliberated about
Right.
last week. And then they had a question about the highlighted bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And in this,
Rich's email.
right, that basically I explained that that the town would not be in a position to advocate for the project, but we could make available to them public records such as the voter checklist and the grand list, communication or addresses and that kind of thing that they could use to reach out to members of the community.
Select board members, anybody, is everybody okay with that? I can't see everybody now, but.
This is Ian. I don't have a problem with that.
Mhm.
If it's public records, I think that's fine. The only thing that those records don't have is email addresses. So
Right.
it's something that Acorn would need to. It's going to be written letters about the project versus email communication. I guess written letter could then, be followed by email communication if the
Mhm.
person was interested in the project.
Joel, you good with that?
You mean this document?
Yeah, that, changing that last bulleted,
Oh, yeah, I'm okay with that. Change that last bulletin.
okay. Darla, if you're shaking your head, I assume you're good.
I'm good.
Peeker, you good with that? Okay. Okay, so we're good with that. Exhibit B. Okay, so I still think I need some clarification on the leased premises. Because I thought if I added that up, it came up to more than what.
Well, what was peculiar was that the fenced area was a smaller area than the array at the time.
Right, so I was trying to figure out what was the what were they considering the fenced-in area? I assume they were excluding out of that the actual array, the actual acreage for the array.
Maybe somebody can clarify.
Well, it's a half an acre more on the fenced area than the array. It says here the ballast mounted array will cover approximately 2.25 acres, and the fenced area surrounding the array will enclose approximately 2.79,
7.9, right?
Mhm.
2.7 acres. So
But then it says total area 3.57. If you add those two up, they don't equal 3.57. So that's why I needed clarification. Rich, is that something you can?
Yeah,
I've unmuted you.
whoops, sorry.
Mhm.
Okay. The total area includes areas outside of the fence where the inverters and the connection to the Green Mountain Power distribution system will be. And I'm going to maybe ask Nils to just comment further if I'm missing anything.
So the array itself is going to be in a 2.25 acre parcel. The fenced in area is going to be 2.7, and then there's going to be additional stuff that's outside both where the array is and the fences.
That's correct. Yep,
That's going to total 3.57.
exactly.
Yeah, this is Nils. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yeah, so to clarify, the lease area is 3.57 acres. The fenced-in area of the array is in the range of 2.5 acres or so. The actual footprint of the array is roughly 2 acres. So those are all within that lease area.
Okay. Right.
Should
Now,
probably
can you,
put plus and minus next to those numbers.
Yes, absolutely.
now, I want to ask a quick question while we're just on this. You guys said something the other night about the fence and it wouldn't be penetrating the cap. So is that fence on ballasts as well?
So the cap itself is about 2.5 to 3 feet deep. The fence posts will actually they will go into that cap material very shallowly and be augmented with, I believe, concrete. But they won't be necessarily with ballast or embedded in ballast that's right on the surface. But they definitely will not penetrate through the cap.
Okay. So they will be in the ground. They're not going to be floating on the top. When you guys said the other night, they won't be penetrating. I thought, well, how are they going to put the fence up then?
Right,
Okay.
exactly. You're correct.
Okay. All right. Joel, are you waving at me?
yeah,
Go ahead. Okay.
a question for you. 1.1 on page 1. Lease
Wait a
agreement.
minute. What are you talking about?
Okay, we're just
talking about the Exhibit B and the MOU for right now.
okay.
Look at your screen.
Yep.
Okay. So these are the two things we're talking about right now.
So you're good with that, Michelle, the leased area? And that
Yeah, just
description?
as long as we understood what it was. It was like, it's not adding up. So I wanted to make sure yeah.
So the next questions were about the actual lease and tax arrangements,
Yep.
and then also the bottom bullet about subordination. And they requested that the subordination terminology stay in there, even though it is boilerplate and ordinarily wouldn't apply.
What would be the purpose of leaving it in there? I mean, we don't plan on bonding this or mortgaging this property. As far as I know, is there any reason, Valerie? I mean, if we were putting up a new public works building, would this piece of property be bonded into that?
Well, any kind of municipal bond would affect that property and all the taxpayers. But in terms of a lien on a property or any other kind of encumbrance. Nothing comes to mind.
So I guess my question is, if we put up a public works building on the property there, is it separate? Do we have it separate from the, so if
It's
for
all
some
the
reason.
same parcel.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rich.
We acknowledge that it's very unlikely that that's going to be an issue. So we just suggested some words at the beginning of that paragraph that say, in the unlikely event that the town sells or otherwise encumbers the property, then the landlord and the rest of it. So we're acknowledging, we don't think it's likely that that's going to happen, but since it's still a remote possibility, we just thought it would be in both of our interests to include those terms.
Can you go back to the Schedule B, Valerie? So you should just replace that in the email, right?
Correct.
Okay. Does
Yeah, I think-
anyone on the select board have any questions or issues with that? Unmute
think the-
yourself, Cole, if you're saying something.
Yeah. Annual rent payments of $3,000 per
No,
year.
not talking about that one yet. Talking about
that's-
the one below that right now.
Well, then
I think adding the in the unlikely event is fine.
Mhm.
The wording they have in there. Did you read that email, Joel?
I did.
Okay. Peter, you have any questions, concerns, or Darla? Okay.
No, when I read through it, it made sense to me, and I don't have any objection to adding that wording.
Okay. All right. I think we're up. Joel, you good
Well, that one, yep.
with that one? Okay. Okay, so.
So the next one, Rich tried to interpret our motion and effort to describe the combination of annual lease payment and municipal property taxes for that first year, with the goal of keeping the total payment over time between $11,000 and $13,000. So that was, this email has his interpretation of that. And here is the motion that's in the draft minutes right here. And that the lease term be modified to be $8,500 per year, to be reevaluated after the first year, and fixed based upon the real number of the state's valuation, such that the total annual lease and property tax payments together equal approximately $11,000 to $13,000 per year, to coincide with the $331,000 total projected payments over the 25-year term. So I don't know if that clarifies it anymore.
Well, I think my understanding is that the lease payments would be $8,500 a year, and then the taxes would make up the rest. But since we don't know what that assessment is, we're saying this is what it's going to be, and after the end of the first year, we get the assessments, then we'll make the adjustments. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, we actually, originally, the lease payment was going to be $8,500, but when we understood that you did not want to waive the taxes, we basically changed it so that the lease payment was $3,000 and the taxes were $8,500 in the first year. And the wording that we attempted to put in the email just said that whatever the tax is the first year, that the total payment would be $11,000, but then would increase each year by the amount that the taxes had increased. So I think the net result of it is very similar to what you have in your minutes. I hadn't seen those minutes before, or we possibly would have incorporated that language into the suggested words for the term sheet.
Michelle,
Go ahead,
I
Peter.
believe that it does what we want it to do. I think in making the motion, that's where we were trying to get. It's just worded in a way that makes a little bit more sense, and it doesn't have to be revisited. It gets us to the number we were looking for.
Don't take this offensively, Rich, but I see you went with the lower number rather than the higher number. The 11,000 versus the 13.
Actually, in our model, we assumed that there would be an escalation each year, depending on how your tax rate. And we wind up with about 13, 25 years out. So
Yeah.
and that's how we got to the 331. So I'd rather have the starting number, though, the 11,000 that we're sure of. And frankly, it could be more than 13 or less than 13. So that's a very imprecise number. I just soon not put it into the term sheet.
Yep.
The select board, it's our understanding that the lease figure will remain fixed over time. So once it's done, it stays, well, and also the assessment of the state's assessment of the array. So the lease term would not change and the state assessment would not change, but the only variable would be the year-to-year municipal tax dollars. So what the select board was trying to do was identify what that baseline lease payment, annual lease payment should be to be within that range, knowing that that the taxes are likely to increase over time, but we can't predict. Sometimes they might go down. It does happen sometimes. So.
Okay.
So I'm not sure.
I don't think we have any problem stating a range. It's very hard to project 25 years out. And frankly, although the taxes might go down, that 13 might, if that's viewed as an upper cap, it may actually be to your detriment to have that in there.
Well, that was my point when I read this was I thought when I first read this, my first impression was, okay, they're capping it every year at 11,000, and that is not what the select board was saying. So that's why I was a little unsure about the wording in this, because I didn't want us to get stuck with saying it's $11,000 every year for 25 years.
No.
You know.
No, we tried to factor that in. I mean, if you say between 11 and 13,000, I don't think we have any problem with that. It's just if the combination of 3,000 plus the tax rate times the appraisal or the valuation rate is more than 13,000, I don't think you would want to cap this at 13,000. So that was the concern.
No, I'm happy with the way it's worded because it goes up by whatever the taxes goes up each year. And we'll know what after the first year, once it's assessed, we'll know what the rent is.
Yeah.
Well, I think ultimately the question here, Peter, is are you happy with 11 grand for the lease payment for the first year? And then we go from there.
Yes.
I mean, the wording, I think now that I read it and Rich explained it a little bit, I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure the select board's okay with the $11,000 figure.
I'm fine with that.
Joel?
I'm not fine with it. I knew you'd find that hard to believe.
Well, say your
Because this
piece.
is, no, I'll tell you why. I remember a lot what Rich told us the very first meeting when he said, usually a solar farm comes in about 40% of what the cost is to build. And I couldn't disagree with him more. He's absolutely right there. So remember when you asked me, the board asked me in executive session about 3 weeks ago to do some investigating on other towns?
Mm-hmm.
And the array that I found in Brandon is a 500K, Norris Brothers, 500K down there was almost 2 million to build. And they say this one over here is going to be $1.7 million. And Rich was saying that from what it costs you to build is about 40% of what it's going to be assessed at. And that almost hits the nail right on the head for Norris Brothers, is in for $630,400 in Brandon. So I took that number and times it by the tax rate in Bristol present tax rate, town tax rate is 70 and a half cents. And that comes up to $4,450, $4,450 the taxes would be. Then you add 3,000 to that, and we're not even close to the 85 that we would agreed on the very first time.
We're not putting it at 3,000 though, Joel.
That's what it says. That's what.
No, that's what we had talked about. We're talking about the annual rent and tax payments will total 11,000 for the first year.
So that's why I didn't want to put a number there, and it has a number there, Michelle.
Yeah, I know, but that's why we're talking about it, because we had changed it to 8,500 plus the taxes.
Right.
But when we discussed this last time, we wanted to make sure that, because we don't know what the assessment will be, we're going to say the total for the first year was going to be between 11 and 13,000. And after the first year, we'll figure out what the
Say, okay, can I play this out then?
Sure.
If it's $4,500 the taxes out of the first year, does that make the rent starts at $7,500 a year?
Correct.
And then it goes, the rent stays constant for 25.
Correct. And then taxes go up.
Taxes go up where the tax rate is, and if it goes down, it goes down.
Correct. That's my understanding of reading all this. Peeker, Ian, and Darla, is that your understanding as well? Yeah. Okay. Does that make sense, Joel?
That makes more sense to me.
Okay. That's what we're doing. That's the understanding.
I'd like to see us start at 12, but 11 to 13. But I could live with that. But I would just, when I saw it on 1.2 page, is it 4.1 annual tax payment? That's what I highlighted it. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Oh, what is that going to say there? The annual landlord annual payment.
Wait a minute, Joel, you're talking about the possible lease agreement, which we haven't talked about. We're not talking about that. So we're only talking about the memo and the Schedule B or Exhibit B.
Okay. All right.
Val, can you put up the Schedule B again? So this rent and taxes here, Joel, this we had changed to 8,500 plus the municipal payments. So this is the one we're talking about right here.
Okay.
And
So
that's what we're talking about changing.
what's in the yellow? Annual rent payments.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing that'll be, 11,000 the first year. We'll reevaluate in a year to determine the actual base lease payment and then plus the taxes.
Okay.
We don't have to. The way the wording is in the email or in the letter, it'll be set. We'll know what it is. The first payment will be $11,000. Whatever's not property tax will be what the lease payment is for the next 25 years.
Right, but we won't know that till after the first year, Peeker.
Right, we won't know that till after the first year, but the payment will be $11,000. The way it's worded there, the payment will be $11,000. There's no. We don't have to set the. We set the rent at 8,500 and the plus the taxes for the first year to make sure that we fell within that, because we didn't know where it was going to be assessed, to make sure we fell within that 11 to 13,000. And I think this statement does exactly what we wanted to do.
Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what Peeker said is correct in terms of what our intention was, because rather than have it floating, just to say what the total would be the first year, and then to say that whatever the taxes is, it's X, and the rent is 11,000 minus X. And in every subsequent year, if the taxes go up by $200, then the payment goes up by $200. If the taxes go down by $100, the payment goes down by, but the 11 is the starting point, and it's only adjusted based on changes each year in the total tax that is assessed or is charged against the property.
Okay. Joel, you good with that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just the 11,000 is the starting point for the first year, and that sets the base rent.
Correct.
That sets the base rent for the first year, and then the rent is set for 25 years based on.
Correct. Correct.
Now, yep, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Good.
Val, you're muted.
Unmute. But are we still saying that after the first year, when we know what the taxes are going to be, then that $11,000 gets adjusted and fixed for the next 25 years? Recalibrated after?
Only the base, only well, after that first year, we'll figure out what the rent payment is.
Okay, so there is a plan to recalibrate it after the first year.
Right.
Okay.
Like, I guess what she's saying is, play this out. Let's say the taxes come in the first year, $5,000. So the rent will be $6,000 a year for 25 years.
Correct.
Plus taxes as they go up or go down.
Correct.
That's the way we intend it. And
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay. Are we good with that? Somebody want to make a motion to accept with the changes we just discussed?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay,
Oh, hold up. One more. I just have remember when we asked Kevin a while back, a few weeks ago, without telling stories out of school because it was an executive session, but I asked about after the engineering is done by Green Mountain Power and they say Pine Street's got to have 5 more poles or whatever, and they got to be bigger than that, we could negotiate that part or object to some things. Is that in this language?
that's not in this MOU. That'll be in a lease agreement.
I realize
Yeah.
Acorn and us don't know what GMP is going to throw at us, so I just want some, make sure that in the best interest of the town and everybody that we're not going to have a boulevard down Pine Street with huge poles and stuff. And we have
No,
to say something afterwards.
and we can take care of that in the lease agreement itself.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just the MOU to get the ball rolling.
Yep. Okay. Next.
Excuse me.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, Rich. Go ahead.
I'd just like to say on behalf of the Acorn Energy Co-op and Aegis Renewable Energy that we want to thank you. We really appreciate this vote of confidence. We're moving full speed ahead, and because of that, we've sent you the lease option agreement, which contains the complete lease agreement as an attachment. And we need that lease option agreement signed in order to demonstrate to the Public Utilities Commission that we are entitled to essentially get a certificate of public good using that property. So we'd really appreciate an opportunity to have a conversation about any terms on that. We purposely pulled all of the business terms out, and that's in the Schedule B that you've reviewed and approved. So unless there are other concerns in the lease option agreement, we would hope, or in the lease itself, we would hope that that review could be fairly expeditious.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks, Rich. We'll be back in touch.
great, thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Great. Next, Green Mountain Power request to install new utility pole on South Street.
Huge. I'm going to call Teresa to find my phone. She's
I can
not,
put her on speakerphone right here. Val,
you can?
I got Teresa's number right here.
Okay, well, and it's also right here on the screen.
Okay.
So you're calling her and you'll put her right by your computer there?
Yep.
Oh, excellent. So
spell her last name? I'm not following the letter.
It's Dessseau. Wait a minute. Dessseaurt.
URE.
Yeah.
Eault.
Yeah.
Hi, Joel.
Hi, Teresa. You're at the select board meeting and you're on speakerphone and everybody can hear you. So,
So don't say anything bad about Joel.
yeah, you won't have to worry about it. I'll say something bad about her. So, okay. So, go ahead.
So the reason it's going here is because you can't put it behind, or the reason you're asking for it to go here is because you can't put it behind the funeral home, right?
Well, there's currently an existing secondary pole behind the funeral home. And it's the pole that I'm trying to get primary to, but I can't go from the either existing pole on either side of my proposed one because I'll be crossing over buildings.
Teresa, I have a question. The power presently comes out of South Street or out of, out of the basin to the back of
South Street, yes.
out of the basin up to Hatch, behind Hatch and all up on the back of those buildings, correct?
It stops over on the corner by Hatch, yes.
So,
And then it goes down where there's, I think there's a sewer plant or something way down there in the lower.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Why can't those poles be upgraded for newer wire and not put another pole on South Street? That's like my question after we talked the other day.
Can which poles be rewired?
The ones that are presently servicing those customers. And you said you told me there's not enough power at those poles to give them, they want more power.
The primary transformer that feeds the whole block on Main Street is basically right by the town clerk's office. That's where the primary ends. From there, it goes secondary. So all of those 7 poles are all secondary fed from that one transformer. And what I'm trying to do is get a transformer closer into there and split up the load.
Is this pole gonna look like the one that's already there that I hate?
It will not have an anchor on it. We're going to set the pole deep so it shouldn't lean. And it'll be right in line with the existing wire that's there. I just need to line up so I'm in the middle of the 2 buildings.
Yeah.
That pole that's behind the funeral home. Without going over any buildings or being closer than 10 feet to any openable windows, et cetera, et cetera.
Teresa, has DigSafe been done to locate water services?
I have not DigSafe the one on South Street. I have done the one behind the funeral home, and I've also contacted the Jackmans.
Yeah, our water operator is concerned that there might be some water service conflict. We don't know that.
Okay, well,
We don't know the
I
details.
need to get approval, and then I'll be happy to call and call that. Call the DigSafe on that. And is there sewer right there? I can't remember. It runs up front of Main Street, I believe.
The sewer actually comes out of the town hall and runs fairly, it might be between the new pole you want to put up and the pole that Michelle hates and we all hate. It runs over to in front of the funeral home somewhere. Our sewer for our Holly Hall runs over to that line.
Well, the other poles are not on top of the sewer line, and this pole is right in line. So my suspicion is that we're probably close, but we won't be on it. But I will certainly have to call my due diligence.
Will that pole affect any parking spaces?
I'm trying to do a Zoom. I can't hear the goddamn thing.
Hey, Ted, you might want to mute yourself.
Or Michelle, mute Ted.
Okay.
It will not affect any parking spaces. There's a red pin in the ground, which I know I've personally showed to several people. It is not in a parking spot.
Great.
It's right in front of George Vince's window, just south of George Vince's law office's sidewalk, just to the street side of our sidewalk. What's the possibility, Teresa, of changing the pole that we all hate with the guide wire and put a longer pole there and get rid of the guide wire? Yeah.
You're talking about the anchor. The only problem with that pole is the wire goes every which way but loose. There's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes to the west, it goes to the east, it goes everywhere.
So Teresa, is this pole gonna take off some of that load that's on that other one?
Yes, it will, because yes, it will, because we're going to basically disconnect some wires, so to speak, and have them fed from the new pole, so that way we can split up the load.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions, concerns?
I have a related question.
Go ahead, Ian.
If we're putting a pole here, can the pole that is currently not used by the bandstand, the old pole, be pulled out so there isn't a new pole and an old pole there?
I'm not familiar with which pole is not being used by the bandstand.
It's directly opposite the post office. There was a new pole put in, and the old one is currently still there with nothing attached to it. And I was just curious.
There is
if it's
nothing
going
attached to it, yes, so I can certainly pull that. Typically, we set the pole, or telephone sets the pole, we transfer, and then we have to wait for Comcast and Waitsfield to transfer off of them. But if they have, I'll write that up, be happy to.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah, I think the last time I walked by, there was like a wire that we used to hang banners from that was attached, but it doesn't seem to be attached anymore. So I think it can be removed. That would be great.
Okay, yep, I'm in Bristol tomorrow, I'll take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
John, do you have something, John Moyers?
Yeah, I just urge the select board to move expeditiously on this, only because it turns out to relate to my renovation project at 11 Main, where because of this new line and such, we need to coordinate digging and connection of the building 11 Main to this new line. So there's some, getting the excavating and the power company and the telephone and the cable, getting everybody lined up is a lot of juggling. So the more time we can have to get it all together, the better. Nothing can happen until you guys are ready to go.
Okay. Tasha, did you have a question? Okay, well, you got your hand up, so that's what I asked. Okay, any other questions from anybody? Okay, do we need a motion, Valerie?
Well, I suppose since we're here, you might as well make one, but if folks had a chance to read my TA report this afternoon,
yep.
The town's process doesn't, it delegates the select board's oversight to the highway foreman, to the public works foreman. But you've made motions on other applications in the past, I know. So might as well, if you're inclined
make it formal.
We'll make it formal.
I make a motion we allow Green Mountain Power to enter that pole on South Street.
Wait a second.
No guide wire attached.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any more discussion?
And then, Valerie, I take issue when you say about that, because it says the road foreman has the right to work in the public right of way. Working in the right of way and putting something in the right of way is two different things. And I think the select board has to say you can put it in the right of way, not the road foreman. It says right there, you're right. It says working in the town right of way. It's a public, that's the road foreman's job.
Well, there's a separate application form that's not on this screen for placement of either underground or overhead utilities, pipes and wires. And that also.
That falls under direction of the town, the select board.
Actually not. The form does not reference the select board at all and gives the authority to the foreman to approve with conditions. There's a copy. Let's see. I can call it up. It is this one. Now this is the one that should have been provided to Teresa. So this is a specific application for a petition for use of public right-of-ways. Buried and aerial, scroll down, and then the road foreman. And then it goes on with what the criteria are. And this process was approved by the select board, but it doesn't mention anything about select board approval.
Eric has the power.
So that's why it's been a little confusing, difficult to be clear about what the process is intended to be. But we are where we are tonight. And if we can have a conversation either later on this agenda or with this agenda item after we let Teresa get back to her evening, or however the select board would want to proceed with both of these processes, because this one too, for the work in the highway right of way, is just the road foreman.
She should have had both permits, right?
Well, it's interesting that this one refers to the other one by reference. So it incorporates, it says that by filling out this one, you don't need to do the other one.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
But they still need to pay the $250 deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Which I did.
Yep, he did.
All right. Well, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye or wave your hand.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Perfect.
Excellent.
You all set with her, guys?
All set.
Thank
Okay,
you,
bye,
Teresa,
Teresa.
for your patience.
Thank you.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next, consider purchase of 2 automated AEDs through Bristol Rescue with capital building reserve funds. We currently don't have any in any of the buildings.
No, we don't. So I had an email exchange with Mark Rickner, and he provided this quote. They were planning to purchase 4. They were extending the offer to the town of Bristol to add a couple more at this, what they consider to be a favorable price. It's a little bit less per unit if we order 2 more or if they order 2 more.
So
And
the plan is to put it in Holly Hall and the police department?
well, because the police department is a separate budget, and it's my understanding that their current budget doesn't have a lot of wiggle room for this kind of purchase, that at this point in time, we would recommend 1 for Holly Hall for sure, and 1 for Howden Hall, because in addition to the Historical Society and their displays, and it's used for meeting space both upstairs and downstairs.
What about the fire department?
They got
We
2
have-
trucks.
Yeah, we currently have 2.
You do, okay.
But for the police department, it might be something, or it's something that we recommend be budgeted for and planned for. And maybe we can find another arrangement in the future to partner with the Bristol Rescue on a future purchase.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, discussion?
Just, Michelle,
Go ahead, Joel.
having them and them sitting on the wall is a great thing, and I agree with it, but the staff gonna be trained how to use them?
Yes. And I believe Meredith has been trained. I believe. I could be corrected, but training will be available.
Right, I saw that in his email, that they would do training.
Where would it be in Holly Hall, upstairs or downstairs?
Upstairs.
Upstairs.
Yeah.
Just run fast if you need it downstairs.
Well, there are more gatherings upstairs with movement and other kinds of things happening with large numbers of people at one time. That's probably the higher priority location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was something that we had talked about for a couple of years, so I'm glad to see it happening. My other question is what about the library, that being a town facility that has a lot of people too? It might be something we want to consider at some point.
Well, could add a third one here. It's out of the capital buildings fund.
Of course, not knowing when the library will reopen, have those people there is another concern. But just thinking of the patrons and who might be there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be open as soon as the town hall's open again. So it's
Right.
not any different situation there.
Or a Howden Hall.
That is, it is a really decent price. I know, well, it's been a while, but we've paid considerably more than that for the one for the fire station. For the two.
What about the hub?
I don't know.
Crap happens, you never know.
Is Meredith on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah,
I think maybe more of a question. What about the Bristol Rec Club having one there? And that would be more universal use. Because if the AED was in the hub and it's closed, you can't get in there. But if there was one that was maybe set underneath the eaves over at Big Red or something along that lines, that might be a lot more useful.
That might disappear.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, I think Taylor here. I don't know about the hub. While it does happen, they are a big expense, and I feel like for the town to make an investment in, I'm sure there's another location in the town that it could be used more readily, or could benefit more so, like given the demographic that is primarily hanging out at the hub. An AED probably isn't going to be the number one thing we need, and I think it could serve the community better being in a more central location, where the demographic is maybe older or more likely to have heart problems. And in terms of it being in a public space, I do fear, I do fear about getting taken, just because if it's accessible to the public, then they could take it and they are worth a fair amount of money.
Okay.
Meredith, was I correct, or do I need to be corrected about whether you've been trained on using these things?
So I did my AHA Red Cross from Sharon.
CPR.
Yeah, CPR
Yes.
AED. So I am currently certified, and same with Alex and Taylor.
Wow.
Yep. Alex just said he's been trained. I have also been trained in CPR and AED.
Wow. Pretty cool. So what if folks are support this idea, what do you think about adding one for the library at this point?
I like the library idea. I think that would be a good location. I think it would be, there's enough staff there as well to train. Obviously, they've paused hiring a new director at the moment, but obviously that will change eventually in the future, and then the new director would be obviously trained. But I think that given the clientele at the library, I think it makes sense.
I was thinking.
Yeah, excellent.
Good idea. And maybe even adding that additional unit might drop the price just another $10 or something.
And we have the money in the assuming we have the money in the Capitol building.
Yes, it's a pretty healthy fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion?
To purchase 3 AEDs, one for each building. Okay.
Okay. All those in favor? Raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried.
Excellent.
Continued consideration of establishing the Horse Spring Committee.
All right, so I've been in contact with Linda, and I have sent, as you see, the email that I sent to Valerie. So 2-year term, we have 7 people on the committee, and we've established that. One of the questions that came up last select board meeting was the dig safe, and we did get dig safe out there, and they flagged where there's potential water and electric lines where we're not supposed to dig. And now we're waiting for the approval from the select board, and then we'll conduct our first committee meeting.
So we just need to appoint these people on the committee. Is that correct, Valerie? Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to appoint the seven?
I make a motion we appoint the following people on item 4.4 in the TA report.
Okay. Do you want me to read the names, Tasha? Or you got them? I can't see you, so you're good?
They're also on the website, so folks can go to the website and just click on that item.
Okay.
I wrote them all down while you guys were chatting.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand, whatever. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried.
Who seconded that?
Ian did.
Joel motioned, Ian second.
Thank you. Great.
I guess Ian did. I didn't hear him, but good one, Ian.
Okay, next, request for American Legion to use the Town Green Park for a memorial celebration on May 25th, 2020. So I have a question on this. Is the governor gonna let them do this? I mean, I know he doesn't have a ton of people, but.
Right now, the recommendation stands at groups no greater than 10, correct?
Right.
I would say the governor has to lift that before we can approve this.
Or can we approve it and say, provided the governor
Provided.
approves?
Yeah.
I make a motion we approve this pending Vermont Health Department and the governor of the state of Vermont approval of social distancing.
Or lifting of the order.
Lifting the order.
Or amending it to allow.
Amending to allow.
Yeah.
Well, the only issue with that is the number, because there isn't a guaranteed number that might attend. If 200 have
Right.
attended previously, we don't have any guarantee of who might attend. And I know that consideration is being put in terms of social distancing, but I personally, I don't think I can support this, given that we don't have enough information. I would be more comfortable if we get more information from the state in terms of getting closer to that date. And I know there's not a lot of time.
Well, he's got expected attendance 200. If he's
Yeah.
gonna have 200 people, there's no way.
No,
I don't
and
think by then that they're gonna lift that.
I find
I
that
doubt-
impossible.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt to that number. I mean, if we're going from 10, I could see it maybe going to.
Isn't that what the motion just said? Isn't that what my motion was? Pending.
Yeah, the only problem I have with that is that, he's gonna be making, publicizing it. So I think we either need to give him a definitive or not a definitive. Either it's a yes or a no. If we say depends on based on what the governor says, then what's he gonna do if we last minute, the governor says, no, you can't.
Well, then the governor
Also,
says, no, we can't. Plain and simple, Michelle. That's not hard to figure out.
No, but I'm just saying for Ron's purposes, if we say to him, yeah, you can have it unless the governor says no, he's trying to make all these plans.
Right. I mean, I know I was listening to the governor's press conference, well, today, but the Friday, this question was asked there was a group from the Northeast Kingdom that asked specifically, a reporter asked the question, and the governor said, I can't tell you that right now. Like, it was a Memorial Day event, and he said, I can't make that decision right now. I don't think we can make that decision right now. Although I do, with what Joel said, it makes sense if we put it on, what the governor's decision, if he changes that.
That's the only decision we're going to make. It's based on the governor's recommendation. If he tells them Friday, May 22nd, no, you can go up to 50 people, then no, you're not having it next Monday. Not our problem.
Well, if you look at the application, it talks about in previous years, attendance has been around 200. So I think that's why that number is there.
That is correct.
But so, it's a possibility if a gathering of 50 people is allowed, the event could draw less than 50 people. given the circumstances. And so
That's
if we
true.
say it's based on the recommendations of the amount that you've put on this form, we might be denying it unnecessarily. I do think that large gatherings, even of 50 people, I think is going to be too many. And that's not coming anytime soon. But I do think it's our responsibility at this point to limit these kind of gatherings. I mean, just it's obviously the state has told us to do that, but yeah, I have reservations about this. Not only because other large events in Bristol have already canceled just because of preparation. It seems the encouragement, could be put out there if we do approve this at that number.
Right. Anybody else got any insight?
Did I even get a second?
No, not yet.
So all the discussion we did, we shouldn't have done it until we get a second.
We always do it backwards.
I know we do.
No, it was my fault. I started speaking before there was a second. I apologize.
Peeker, what are your thoughts? You're being quiet.
I think,
Did you second it?
Good. Go ahead, Peeker.
I think we're setting a bad example if we go ahead and approve it without knowing what's going on. I mean, we've got to decide on the 4th of July parade pretty soon as well. I don't want to be in the news like Florida and everybody else allowing these gatherings. I'm opposed to approving it at this point.
It's hard. I mean, I certainly, I've been to this event a number of times. They do a really nice job. Has nothing to do with that. I know that I'm not planning on going to any public events for quite some time. And I have a hard time saying, sure, folks in my neighborhood, put you at risk, maybe not. I struggle with that. So that's where I hesitate on this.
Well, I mean, the only other thing we could do is we could say you can have it, but everybody has to stay in their cars and parked.
Park around the park, yeah.
Right, but if 200 people, you aren't going to fit that many people around the park.
You'll have to carpool. I don't know.
I agree with Peeker. I think it sets a bad precedence if we approve this now, knowing the information we have from the state and the government.
Well, we're going to need a second, and then we're going to have to vote down the motion. Correct? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Or table it till next meeting. See what
Well, I mean, they're doing a briefing every Friday and changing requirements, but I really don't think he's coming up that much.
Yeah.
Well, it's noted on the application that the Legion plans to decide by May 1st whether they would plan to go ahead anyway.
Well, maybe we can make that decision for them.
We can hope so, yeah. Oh, it's hard.
Well, if somebody wants to make a second, and then we can decide on the motion that's on the table.
I'll second it so that we can move on it.
Okay. Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
We'll say again, my motion didn't say I approved. I said I approved it based on the governor's, to use the park based on the governor of the state of Vermont saying they can hold a gathering at that time. That's why, if we vote no, and the governor says on May 10th, you can start gathering of things of ceremonies and things of that nature, can they even have it then? Because we voted no. My motion doesn't say they can have it. My motion says they can have it based on the governor's and the health department's recommendations. I know how you all are going to vote. I'm voting yes on that motion. Didn't say I gave them permission to have their Memorial Day parade. I gave them permission to wait till the governor says they can have their Memorial Day ceremony, not the parade.
Right.
Joel, is the amount based on what is on their form? The governor would have to say gatherings of 200
200
people or
people.
more.
Right.
Okay.
What if he says you can have a gathering of 100? May 5th,
That means
and then they
that means that they couldn't have it.
when we get to 100 on the park, we'll have nobody get out of their cars. I don't know.
Well, they would have to me, they would have to reapply.
I'd have never put a number down if I was Ron. To be honest with you. He doesn't know. It'll be pouring rain, snowing, blowing, wind. Could be 10 people. What happens if 20 people show up there on their bikes next week and sit the park? What are we going to do about it, people?
Nothing we can do about it. They're in there doing a specific thing. I mean, there could be 20 kids on the park at one time.
There was over the day at skate park. Kind of like laughing at us. Helping hands going down through there. And I had a resident stop in and say, "Did you see the kids over the skate park?" I said, "Yeah, I did." Call the police if you're concerned about it.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor say, raise your hand, whatever.
Well, there are a couple of hands. Tasha has her hand up.
No, sorry. I'm buttons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've seen Tasha's hand up for a while.
Yeah. Would you lower your hand, Tasha? Come on now, lower your hand.
Must be tired.
I was gonna say, your arm must be sore. Okay. Try again. All those in favor, raise your hand or wave your hand. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay.
It's a tough one.
All right, Joel.
Michelle.
It's a tough one.
All right.
So was that 4-1?
4-1.
Okay.
All right. Actually, it was 1-4.
Oh.
That's 1-4.
You're
Okay.
4-1. If it was 4-1, then it passed.
That's
right. Good catch.
Right, Ian? Am I
Okay.
correct?
Yes,
That's
you are.
correct.
Can I ask the question, if the governor does say, go ahead, congregate at will, could they reapply?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we could deliver that information.
Yeah, but they're gonna make their decision by May 1st anyway, so that's Friday. And that, by then, I don't think the governor's gonna be telling us we can do
I don't think so either.
something that size. Okay.
I agree.
I'm very comfortable, given the amount of people they say we're going to attend, saying.
Let me ask the board a hypothetical question then. This sunshine finally comes here in the first part of May and it gets to be 20 degrees the weekend before Memorial Day, or it gets to be 90 degrees and Bartlett's is full of people. Bruce,
What's full of people?
Bartlett's Falls is going to be full of people in the late May. And we haven't lifted the order yet, but it's the weekend before Memorial Day. How are we going to handle that, people?
How are they handling it in Florida? What can they do? We could send
We just
Bruce
voted-
up there
we
and
just
say,
voted
tell
down
them to
you
go
couldn't have-
home.
We just voted down you can't have a ceremony, but if they went swimming, a couple of hundred up there, not much we could do, I guess.
Eric,
Oh,
go
no.
ahead.
Eric's
It'd
got
be
a
the
question.
same thing like Joel was saying. If you got 90-degree weather and there was a bunch of people that were on the park swinging, playing on the gym, and all that stuff, you got 200 people on the park, just not together, but there. They're going to have to be told to leave.
Correct.
Somebody's gonna have to tell them to leave.
Yeah, I mean that's basically it, right? As it stands right now.
I mean, if they're keeping social distancing, fine, but chances are you got that many people on the park, you're not gonna be able to social distance.
Right.
Well, not if it's not hypothetically, not if it's 80, 90 degrees out.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I look forward to that weather though. When's that coming?
Yeah, I just wonder how many people are gonna. I don't know that I'd want my children that close to somebody else if I had little. I think people will self-select. I like to think that they would. if it starts to get crowded, but look at Florida, so.
Look at California now. Okay, are we ready to move on to the next one? Okay, the CBT phone system contracts for town office, fire station, and police station.
So hopefully folks had a chance to glance at some of the information, and more new information came down today. A little bit more favorable pricing for the police department and the fire station on the proposed contract, about $12 a month less for the total package. There's a lot of detail, a lot of information. Do folks have any questions? Want to talk about anything?
I have a lot of questions.
No.
So the email says Polycom will pay for setup and configuration of phones, but then we get to page 8, it indicates 160 for rebuild and training, and Polycom rebate of 280. So are we going to be to the good $120?
The rebate can definitely exceed the cost of the configuration.
So we're paying 160 for training and refurbishing.
Yeah.
But we're getting a credit for 280. So that's why they say they're not charging us for the training.
Well, it's a wash, basically.
Okay.
They cancel each other out.
Okay. So then there's a graph that
over time. The rebate, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while to deliver the old phones and for the rebate to be processed. So it's not going to be, equal time.
Okay. Then there's a graph that shows the price for $394.18, which says includes taxes. And then the other gives you a 5-year and a 3-year total. One was $378 and one was
Where you getting that,
$406.
Michelle?
What's that?
Where are you getting that?
Off the contract that was uploaded. It was on the website.
I didn't upload all that.
Okay. So my
Almost got to
$394.18.
work for a living,
Well, so do I, but I did it on the weekend. So between the 398, which was a 5-year, and the 378, was that just the difference just because of the taxes?
Let me see. Let me hang on here. I want to make sure we're on the same page. Is this what you're looking at?
Yeah, that's the first one. And then they're farther down, it gives you a different price.
Yeah, a couple more.
Didn't we just a couple of
Yeah,
3
these
years
two.
ago?
It's been 5 years, Joel.
Has it been 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently. Yeah. Well, then the Chris Merchant sent over individual contracts for each of the places, and there's more information, more detailed information in those individual contracts. And then these two that came today have slightly reduced fees per month. These are on the website.
I guess what I'm trying to figure is what is actually, okay, two things. Are we buying the phones or are we leasing the phones?
Jen recommends that we lease them, and the 5-year term has the most favorable rate.
And then in 5 years, we have to lease new ones again, I take it. In 5 years, this will.
So yes, it would renew or renegotiate the agreement.
Right, okay.
So here is police department. That's if you purchase it, which we're not going to do. So these are the updated figures for rental or purchase. I guess this is all rental.
Okay, all right, so.
Oops.
So 12-month, so 6-month, option 1, purchase option 2. So $205.95.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
But that's just for the police department.
Right.
Or is that for?
That's just police department.
So the numbers that were in the contract I was looking at, what were they for? Just the town?
No, I wasn't exactly sure what those were reflecting.
Okay.
And this was something that he provided to us back in March before he sent over the contracts.
So I just, for me,
I'd
it's
be
like,
guided by
okay,
the contracts.
I need to know what the numbers are. That's what I was trying to figure out. What's the actual number that we're going to be agreeing to enter into with them for the 5 years? And I'm gathering now that there's a different price for the police department, the fire department, and the town offices.
Correct. So here's, my page down button doesn't work. So scroll. So there's fire department, 177, and that's based on the number of phones.
Right. Okay.
And then town office, it's the same. It didn't change, but
What is that, the 340?
yeah. Because the town already has a lower number here. So that's what changed on the other two contracts, was this was a higher number.
Okay, so
This would be the town.
337.70.
Right.
337.70. Okay. And when it says 7, the quantity 7, I assume that means 7 phones, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And this was with internet too?
I believe so. High-speed internet. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. It also talks about that you're required to have a UPS for this. Do we already have that?
Well, that's standard language. We might already have them. I'm pretty sure there's already one at the town office, and there might be one at the police station also. And there might even also be one at the fire station.
Okay.
But what's the UPS for?
It's a battery backup for the phone system.
Okay, not for individual phones.
No, it's
Okay.
like a router kind of thing. It's
Okay, it's for the main central hub unit.
like the server kind of thing.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Right, so that we don't destroy the equipment should we have a power outage and a surge.
Right.
Or that your phones don't fail if your power goes out. Although we have a generator, so that
But
would.
it's not an instant switchover though.
No.
Right. I was gonna say, and usually the UPS will give you up to an hour, 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the UPS, so.
I mean, every computer should have one too at the town offices, so if they don't.
Was there a reason why we're switching, Valerie? Is there anything wrong with our system now?
Well, Jen pointed out that it's been 5 years, and some of those phones aren't supported by this Polycom system anymore, and several of the phones, each department has different types of phones for some reason, and I can't explain how that happened if they were purchased 5 years ago, but there's different models of phones, and some have some features that others don't have, and this proposal would uniformly upgrade all of them to the same model, and with a higher level of service that's outlined in that proposal that Michelle was reading from.
Did we call him or did he call us?
He called us. If you need more time to think about it, I mean, it's not especially urgent, but Jen was hoping this would be on last month's agenda.
It's ironically, when I was looking over the pay orders today, I thought, my God, we pay a lot for phone service a month. Almost $1,300 a month.
Yeah.
Pay orders.
It makes sense that he would have called us if it's a 5-year lease and the 5 years is up. So that doesn't that we had that.
I can tell you that in Waitsfield, we made the switch to the newer system with this type of hosted service, and it works. It's pretty slick.
Okay, so the phone service that we currently pay for that Joel was just mentioning, does that include the lease that we currently have?
Yes.
Okay, so this lease is going to be about $721. So do we think that?
Well, this, yes. The other departments are not included in this particular upgrade, like the Public Works.
They got an old landline, don't they? They dial into Sarah and Sarah gets them a Mayberry 342. Is that how they do this?
And Houghton Hall might have a phone. I don't think it's included. And then the teen center phone is not included.
I asked the question, why not?
Good question.
Upgrade, let's either do them all, get a real price on all of them, and not some of them, well, they're second fiddle or they're not as important, so we don't need to do that. Why don't we just take our time and do this right and see if they all need to be. I don't know what Eric has over there, whether he has to crank the phone or what.
Or use his cell phone.
Or use his cell phone.
But when I think of Holly Hall, that's really a courtesy phone. They don't need multiple lines. So upgrading their phone to something that would be similar to what's used at the town hall doesn't really make sense to me.
Good point.
Does the library have our phone system, or are they on their own?
I did not see them listed in our phone bills.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're similar to everything. They're separate. Yeah, I mean, the hub, the teen center, I think I don't think it needs a system like this. This is much more, for business kind of services.
Right. Higher level of use.
Yeah, and I don't even know if the town offices would use all these features either. But I'd have to sort of research more and see.
Well, if you feel you need more information, we can continue it to the next meeting.
Anybody?
Taylor has a question.
I'd like to add, I do agree with Ian. I don't think the hub had, at least from what we've experienced, the hub doesn't have a huge need for multiple lines or a super advanced phone system. More than anything, I think I should probably update so we can call out and call cell phones of parents, because right now we have no long distance calling, and so that's hard. But so I just give kids my cell phone to call their parents if they have to call cell phones. So that's the one update, but I don't think we need multiple lines or anything like that, because it really is someone calls and it's pretty simple.
Okay. All right. So do you need more information, Joel? Anybody? Or do you think we can move forward with this?
Oh, I just know Wakefield Telecom is a provider, but they're not the only game in town. Well, there's other.
That's true.
Provide phone service too.
I agree, but they are very generous to our community too.
They are.
Hey, Eric. What about your phone system? Your phone at the Public Works? You happy with it? They call it, leave you a nasty gram.
We use smoke signals. No, our phone's fine for what we do.
Okay. All right.
No, I think looking through this, I think it's fine. I mean, there's obviously a lot to digest, but I think it's a smart move for most of our departments to have the same phone system that's all understandable and has the same set of features. I think that makes sense.
Okay.
So,
is that a motion, Ian?
So moved.
Okay. Somebody want a second?
So in my TA report, I suggested see if we need any more
Didn't
information.
hear a second.
I'll second it, I said.
And to authorize the town administrator to execute rental contracts with Champlain Valley Telecom for up to 5 years.
You want to add that into your motion there, Ian?
Sure.
Carol, you'll second that too?
Yes.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand, wave, whatever. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next. Select engineering consultant for Stony Hill Business Park engineering contract, Green Mountain Engineering. May include deliberation executive session.
Or maybe it's straightforward. In the TA report, there's a comparison between what the grant budget was or is for the engineering, which includes the design and bid phase and construction services. And combined, those are over $199,000. After we got the notice to proceed from the Northern Border Regional Commission to negotiate with the folks who responded to our RFQ request for qualifications, we asked Green Mountain Engineering to provide a scope and a cost proposal, and theirs compares quite favorably to what was in the budget at about $141,000.
And so the NRBC grant would pay 50% of the expenses?
Up to, correct.
Up to 50%. So
Right.
up to 50% of what Green Mountain Engineering gives us as a number, what they budgeted for.
Whatever the actual expenses are. They could be higher, they could be lower.
Bummer.
But I don't expect they'd, we'll hope that these are fairly accurate. And, well, these are estimated figures, but it's good for planning.
Do I have any questions, comments, concerns? If not, somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we go with Green Mountain Engineering,
Second.
the TA report.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Okay. Did you get that, Tasha? That was Ian?
Yep.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Were there any other bids, just out of curiosity?
Otter Creek Engineering was the other company that submitted a response. This RFQ process is unusual in my experience, that we get the packages of their qualifications and prior experience and descriptions of their team, and then the review committee, which included myself, Kevin Harper, Ian, and Eric Coda, rank them, and then you take the highest ranked person and request a scope of work and a cost proposal. And if you don't like what they submit, or you just can't come to an agreement about something, then you walk away and you go to the next one down the list until you come up with an agreement and a scope that you're satisfied with. In this case, we just had two to work with, and we started off with Green Mountain Engineering.
We don't have, we never got a number from
I'm sorry?
Otter Creek. We never got a number from Otter
No,
Creek.
we weren't. We would only do that if it didn't work out with Green Mountain Engineering. I know it's weird. It's not a process I'm a fan of, but it's required. The Northern Border Regional Commission required this type of process. And it's also the Clean Water Revolving Loan Fund through the state also required, one or the other, the DWSRF or the CWSRF requires an RFQ process also, which is what we have to do.
I don't have any problem with Green Mountain Engineering. I was just curious as to why there wasn't somebody else's number is all.
Right. Yep.
Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye or raising your hand or whatever. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next. Coronavirus, COVID-19 update, preparation, response, and impacts to municipal operations.
So on the website were copies of documents that were recently prepared. One of them was a copy of the letter that was sent to the borrowers through our revolving loan fund following the March 30th select board meeting that authorized the adjustments to loans. Rather than automatically make those adjustments that the select board approved to every borrower, we decided to reach out and to them and ask them, invite them to take advantage of that offer if they wanted to. And we received responses from 3 borrowers. And Jen had several conversations with Kevin Brennan and he strongly recommended that he could put together a very brief one-page or short document to supplement or amend the original loan agreements as an attachment. But he felt that it really needed to be a legal document because it also needed to be provided to the banks and recorded in the land records. So,
of course he would. Money in his pocket.
Well,
Those attorneys.
And
those
if
attorneys.
it's a form of obligation too. Otherwise, I would have to do it, and it's okay.
I mean, that's fine, but the whole point of this was we didn't want it to cost the town money.
Right. I think the estimate was less than $200.
What was the reason to reach out to individuals as opposed to just make it a blanket option for everyone?
Because some borrowers might be prepared to pay and are willing to pay.
They may still be working, Ian.
Right. I guess a concern is that you'd have a borrower down the line come to you and say, I didn't know about this.
Right. Or you didn't reach out to me.
Right.
You didn't reach
The
out
letter went to all the borrowers.
Okay.
Well, letter did go to all?
It did.
Okay.
Well, it's not to say that if somebody does come forward in the future that maybe the same offer can be made
Right.
at that time.
Okay. Yeah, just thinking in terms of reaching people, it's you send a letter, and does that letter actually get there? Or you send the email, or is someone reading that? We're trying to improve how we're doing that, but it's always difficult to know. Did you have borrowers say, I respond and say, I don't need to take advantage of that?
I don't know.
Okay.
They would have contacted Jen because the letter came from her.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I would just be wary, or just be, have it in the back of our minds that we could get people coming forward who, for some reason, didn't receive the letter that was sent, and might ask about this. But I think it's our duty to sort of work with them, since we had proposed this.
Joel?
Of the three companies, I won't mention them here, are in the TA report. How far behind are they anyway? Or are they
One
behind?
of them is pretty far behind. You've got, I think last month you were provided with a revolving loan status report. Yeah, and it's on the website too. So from last month.
How is it
Joel, it's
handled?
I was gonna say it's like October.
Yeah.
We got like one loan is farther back than the other.
Yeah, the last one there.
Yeah.
Given how far back some of the borrowers are, how is that handled? Does the revolving loan fund committee meet to discuss that, or is it a select board discussion?
Jen usually. Go ahead, Don.
Jen is tasked with following up. It is either to negotiate a payment plan, to remind them about paying, and she also communicates with the banks.
Okay. Is there a certain amount of time that has to pass before Jen does start following up with people?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I mean, I know usually when I ask her, she says I've been in contact with them or whatever.
Okay.
But I don't know about this one company.
I guess I'd ask maybe for the next meeting to get an update on everyone who is behind, just to see who's been reached out to and what that communication is. Maybe Jen could attend the meeting and discuss that with us, maybe, or at least give us an update on that. I'd just be interested in knowing that.
Okay. Are we all good with that? And Kevin doing the amendment?
Yeah, if it's 200 or less.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And then just the other communications, a memo went to all of the employees on Friday, outlining the governor's updated protocols and the required training. And several employees have completed the training pretty quickly. So the training certificates are coming in.
Okay. So what about Public Works? How are we dealing that? How are you scheduling? Eric, are you scheduling? How are you scheduling them? Have you gotten volunteer? I assume you've gotten some that are saying, yeah, I'm definitely coming back, and others that are not
Right.
or can't.
Yeah, there's Mike, Josh, and I are working right now. Jared and Kale still having the daycare issues as of right now, so they haven't been working.
Okay.
Like today, we got done today at 2. We did some maintenance stuff, and the next thing that we needed to do was going to take 2 people, but you're going to be closer than 6 foot. So we can't quite do that yet. So we just decided to knock off for the day. We got done, I think it was 2 o'clock or 2:30. We got done today.
Okay.
Tomorrow we're going to be grading and graveling tomorrow.
Okay.
Nice to see the sidewalks have been cleaned. They look great.
Yeah, you got them all done. Cy was supposed to start today, but I don't know. He didn't. Not that I see anyway. So I'll have to touch base with him.
For the road sweeping, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably the rain had something to do with it.
Oh yeah. If it gets too wet, he can't pick it up. So that very well is probably what happened.
Do you know if the fire station area is still on his radar?
I mentioned it to him, and he said he was going to do it.
Okay.
But I will once he starts sweeping, I will remind him of it.
Okay.
Tell him keep his broom. Eric, tell him keep his broom down this year. Pick the stuff up actually.
Yeah, I'll tell him to see if he can get it a little closer. Yep.
So just out of curiosity, the two that are having daycare issues, is there any way they can just do 1 day a week? Or even part of a day?
I can ask. I can call them and ask them tomorrow what they could do.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious if there was some way that they can do something. Yeah. Go ahead, Joel.
Peter and I talked about this already last week.
Okay.
I don't want to be a meanie here, but is that now our problem? Governor said up to 5 people can work. Is that our problem, their daycare? Or do they start now cutting into their vacation time?
Well, that's what me and Peter talked about. That's something that you guys are going to have to decide. I'm not making a call on that.
Yeah. I agree with you, Eric, on that. I agree. That's not your bailiwick to have to wrestle.
But like Michelle, I can call them tomorrow and see if they can do sometime. See what they say.
I mean, we certainly want to support them, but when they tell us you got to get back to work, or they can't get back to work, then we have no reason to say you're out. We can talk about it.
I guess, Eric, I would just, try to present a range of options for them and see if they jump at one of those.
Right. One of my thoughts is what, I don't know how you guys would feel about it. There's one employee that's more, I don't know if you'd want to say nervous or cautious or whatever about this, because he lives real close to his parents. And he's worried about catching something, bringing it home to his kids.
Yeah.
And his kids go down to the grandparents all the time. And so my thought was that individual could take his truck home, and then he could get out of his truck into his house, and then in the morning get from his house to the truck and stay in the truck and never come in contact with anybody.
Well, you're still coming in contact with them by going in the house.
Yeah, but not with us.
Right.
He'd be in the truck. He wouldn't make contact with anybody else other than his family.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, technically, the kids shouldn't be going to the grandparents' house.
Right.
Well, yeah, but when you're talking kids that are young, do they listen?
I get it.
Especially if they're within walking distance of the grandparents.
They don't when they're 33 or 34 either.
No, they don't ever listen, so it don't matter.
Well, Eric, you'd also mentioned that they would need to go to the grandparents' house in order for the employee to come to work because of daycare issues.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, they both are home. Because one of them is a nurse, so she deals with the computer part of this whole virus thing all the day, every day. So that's what she does for work. So she's at home, and Kale does the schooling for the kids because there's no school.
Right.
So he does that part while she's working. So they're both doing stuff, I should say, at home. You know what I mean?
No offense, but so are the rest of us.
Well, I know, and this is where you guys, and like I was just saying, you guys at some point are just going to have to say, this is it. As of this date, you guys are back, and then see what the outcome is.
Yeah. Yeah. Not for you to make that decision. Okay. Okay.
I mean, the truck idea that you mentioned, I mean, that's kind of interesting. I don't know what other select board members think. Like, I think that's a reasonable, to offer that person confidence in terms of what they're using, that it's only them using it. And if they're able to work with that fashion, like, I think I could be behind something like that, depending on what other select board members thought.
Yeah, that was just one idea I had.
A good idea. It's hard to know. I think we would need some guidance from. I would like to see some guidance from the state around that too. Is that something that the state has said, that if their job is open, do you have to go back to work even if you don't have childcare? Or I don't know what the around that.
On today's press conference, whatever you want to call it, with the governor, at lunchtime there, we were watching it, and an actual reporter brought that up.
I didn't see
and the governor says, not the governor,
Dr. Levine?
No, there's another guy there that does that, the shorter guy. He says that if there's no daycare issues, or parents have to stay home to watch their kids, then if they refuse work, then that could jeopardize their
unemployment.
Oh, I see.
But because of, if they have kids at home they have to watch because of daycare or schooling issues, that falls into another category. And apparently, I've got told about it, but haven't read on it, is a while back when shortly after this started, the governor passed a law for daycare, for the coronavirus, daycare people, or staying home people, something to do with kids. So basically, if you didn't have daycare during this epidemic, you didn't have to go to work if you had to stay home and watch your kids, and your job wasn't in jeopardy, or something to that effect. Like I said, I haven't read it, so I don't know exactly what it says.
Right. Initially, it was for essential workers only.
Yeah.
So, but that definition has been broadened. So it would be, I could do a little research on that for us.
Okay. Anything else on that, Val?
Nope.
Okay.
Wait, I have a couple things.
Good idea.
So the postcard mailing, I have it was about $1,068 for the actual mailing to mail out to all the residents in Bristol, and then printing costs for a color postcard is $831. So about $1,800, $1,900 to do a town-wide mailing for that particular postcard, or any postcard that the town wished to send. I've asked Cindy for a quote on just doing a black and white postcard, which I'm sure will reduce the cost, but maybe that's half the cost of that. So it's still about $1,400 to send something out. So, and we're still working, and maybe Taylor can give an update to this. We're still working with trying to find other areas of funding other than getting reimbursed through FEMA, just to keep the postcard to a particular concept, as opposed to broadening it with more instruction. I don't know if Taylor, if you want to give an update. I know you had a meeting today.
So we reached out to United Way to see if they would be willing to provide some funding, and their reaction was, so the response was, we actually just told Middlebury we would help them pay for this exact thing. And now that you guys are asking, we're realizing that we can't pay for every town in Addison County to do it, because we don't have that sort of money. So we're going to start exploring a county-wide mailing as opposed to town-specific, so to make it more broad. And I was CC'd or forwarded an email that was discussing that, where they're trying to figure out what exactly a county-wide mailing would look like. And they were discussing utilizing the existing support structures that target vulnerable folks in the communities to disperse the postcards. But I let them know that I found that that wasn't exactly what we want to do, because the way I look at it, if folks are already connected with AgeWell or CSAC or the Bristol Family Center or the any of those things, they already are being told about and offered services. It's the folks, the ones that I'm the most worried about are the folks that aren't connected to anything already. And so they won't receive a mailing from any of these people because they fly under the radar. Those are the most vulnerable in my mind. But I think they're still trying to figure it out. And I'm just waiting to hear back and exploring some other opportunities.
So Val, my question is the funds for that postcard, what were we thinking that was coming out of? And then would that be entitled to FEMA reimbursement?
The only way a mailing would be eligible for FEMA reimbursement, and I had this confirmed, is if it included essential information about protection measures, the social distancing, and kind of repeating the public safety information. And then if it didn't, maybe it needs to be the primary focus of the postcard or the mailing, but or it's just a component of it. I outlined it as though it was, it really was a mailing for the Addison County Mutual Aid, or like a double duty or dual duty kind of information that included that stuff, but also contact information for the mutual aid group and who the Bristol representatives were. But I can understand that might might take away from the original intent of the postcard to focus on the mutual aid communication.
So where were we thinking the funds were coming from?
I wasn't thinking of where they were coming from.
I don't think we had gotten that far. I think the initial question was like, is this at all okay? And then the answer has been mixed, is the reality. So we haven't gone as far as like, where would we actually take any money from?
Okay.
Well, here's another idea. I haven't thought too much on it yet. But if we don't do a mutual aid mailing with the intent of getting it reimbursed through FEMA, we might want to consider a different type of mailing, maybe along the same line of a postcard, just for cost and efficiency, with the FEMA type messaging, the public safety, public health type of messaging to everybody. And that way we get closer to the $3,800, $3,300 threshold. And that way any other expenses that we've incurred then become eligible for reimbursement. But right now, I don't know, I don't have an updated figure yet from the cumulative expenses from all the departments of purchasing supplies and other things that would qualify for FEMA, but we have to get past that $3,000 threshold first. And those expenses alone might not do it, but if we did do a mailing, and it's not just 75% through FEMA, but there's the additional 12.5% through the state.
Yeah, and I think
So-
for on the mutual aid side for that postcard, it was by having the FEMA messaging, it just it made it more complicated. The idea of the postcard is trying to be as simple as possible so people know where to get aid. So I think we're at the moment, unless we hear back from United Way, we're probably just exploring different options of how to do it. Part of it too, I mean, I think Bristol Core will be willing to throw in some money to support that, getting the mutual aid postcard out. But it would be nice to find other sources of funding too that could help offset those costs, especially if it's around $1,400.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Joel, unmute yourself.
I'm the only one that thinks that we've been, 7 weeks into this quarantine now? If you'd have to been living under a rock if you're in Bristol and you didn't know something about this coronavirus 19. I'm not saying that a postcard, but I'm wondering if we shouldn't let the United Way do it for all of Addison County, and maybe we throw them a couple $300 to help to do a postcard. But I'm wondering if this is just going to go in the trash can because everybody's, I've already known all about it. I just got to ask the question.
That's a fair point. I mean, we've definitely noticed there aren't that many requests coming in for mutual aid, and my hope is that that's because our community has been really amazing at supporting one another, because like other, New Haven, Starksboro, for Jens, I see all the requests, they're getting some. Bristol doesn't get that many. And so, like I said, the hope is that it's because our community really has bonded together and provided the support, and no one is going without, and that everyone's needs are getting met. The fear is that it's that there are a lot of community members that aren't leaving their houses and don't have internet, and has the information been accurately dispersed, and so they are struggling in some bigger ways and probably getting their needs met, but could they be helped in other ways that would make their time easier? And so that's the fear, or at least that's my fear, and the motivation behind trying to disperse it, basically to make sure that all the people that we could be helping or that need help are going to be helped. But I hear what you're saying, Joel. And there's we're hopefully ending the nearing the end of the really the worst of everything. So maybe it's not the right time, but I think I'm also if we can get the structure in place, I think there's more discussion of a second wave come the winter time. So
right.
Getting structure in place so when it does hit again and potentially worse, it's really easy and kind of a what is the turnkey operation sort of thing is
right.
the
Turnkey
thinking.
solution.
Yeah. And so maybe that means we figure out what it would look like, and we don't do it right now or whatever, or we just get everything situated. But I think it's trying to explore everything to make sure that our community is as well connected and as well served as we can.
Right. And also too, we can continue to put the messaging out through Front Porch Forum and hopefully get people signing up and responding that way. It'd be nice to use the town Facebook page, which I don't know if we've done yet. I think mostly we've been focusing on Front Porch Forum, but perhaps maybe that we can use the Facebook page as well. That has a good number of followers to sort of get the message out as well.
Right.
And in terms of peak is, oh, sorry, Darla.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say peak is supposed to happen within the next week, and the state just released figures today in terms of individual towns, and Bristol has 6 cases confirmed, which is pretty small.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that, I think Bristol's really is terrific about reaching out to neighbors and whatnot, but as it is those people who don't have access to the internet. And looking at it from outside of our own experience with this, while we all may be in a good place, there may be people in our community that are struggling that we don't know about yet. So, would a mailing make a difference? It's hard to say, but it's also not so much giving them information about the virus, but giving them information about the supports that might be available to them. So it's just something to think about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else? Okay, we ready to move on? Okay, review select board schedule, goals and priorities for 2020, 2021. Val, you want to put that up? Because I didn't get a chance to print that one off.
Mute. I'm working on it. Hang on here.
Keeping you up, Michelle?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to hang on a second here. How did I do this? All right, there it is. So I made the adjustments from the prior meeting.
Oh, wait a minute, Val. I see the list of the PDF, but I don't see the actual doc. So it's not open yet.
Huh.
We're not on your PDF screen, I don't think.
Yeah.
Huh. Shoot.
Here, let me, okay. If you want to, I can share if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'd have to make him a co-host.
Then I can't share.
Hang on a second. Let me see if I can make you a co-host. Okay, go ahead, Ian.
All right. No, I got to find it.
I was going to say, I could probably find it too.
No, I've got it. I have it.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. So where do you want to look at, Valerie? Are we looking at the main dates first?
Yeah, just taking a glance at things that are coming up, in particular next month. There's going to be quite a lot. A lot of grant deadlines are extended to May, so we're going to try to jump on those. The water district and sewer district annual budget meetings are coming up in June, or May and June. Fiscal year end at the end of June, so preps for the new fiscal year. And then looking ahead into the summer, try to tackle the class 4 road policies and winter maintenance policies. The personal policies review was added there in June, but we'll see. So we'll see if we can keep up with that. So the other parts of the calendar haven't really been filled in with our goals and priorities, other than the basics.
Is the planning commission on track with their timing for the town plan?
Well, they were before the pandemic hit. They had scheduled or planned to host some public meetings about the energy plan and the town plan, but I'm sure that got changed. So I do not know what the schedule is right now.
Okay.
I do know that our municipal planning grant ends in May, so we need to close that out in May.
Valerie, quick question. It says December 14th and 21st. Is that supposed to say the 28th?
Good question. Let me look. Well, I guess that's an open question.
Meet in between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, in
Meet
the December
2 weeks in a
schedule.
row. I thought we were going to meet 2 weeks in a row, the 14th and the 21st, and then not meet through New Year's.
Yeah, because a lot of people travel between Christmas and New Year. And it seems like in December, every December, the regular schedule gets mixed around a little bit for the holidays.
Well, we can leave it at that, leave it at the 14th and the 21st. We can always adjust it when we get closer.
Absolutely.
Right. Can you go to the next page?
Sure.
Yes, please. Okay.
So no movement has been made on my end at this point to put any of that information on the website as, you know, projects, descriptions of projects and that kind of thing.
Right, and that's something I need to work with you on.
Have we gotten an indication from the state about when they're going to start the Main Street project and sidewalk stuff?
Nothing.
They haven't. No.
Nothing.
There was did you receive the notification, Valerie? There was something just recently that came in.
That's the Route 17 from Route 7 in New Haven Junction to Bristol line. To the airport.
Oh, okay.
They're going to
Okay.
pave all of 17 this year.
Oh, I see. Right. Got it.
So Hutchins was in on Wednesday, I think, getting samples and said they were looking, right now they're looking at the 15th to start.
Of May, 15th of May,
Yes.
I assume. John, you had a question?
Unless they can go earlier.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention something to you guys. Maybe you know about it, but I was passing by Howden Hall one morning, maybe a month ago, and it looked to me like the windows on the inside were covered with moisture, like clouded with moisture. And I did not go up. I was on my way somewhere. I didn't stop and look, but literally in passing, I looked over there, and the first thing I thought, as a landlord, I'm like, wow, that place is wet inside. I hope that's not what I saw, but if it is what I saw, I wonder if you guys know about that.
All right.
Add that to the list.
Yes. Thank you, John.
Yeah, next cold morning, maybe take a look over there or something. I don't know.
Right.
That might be tomorrow morning.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
Michelle, if you'd like, I'll give Reg Dearborn a call tomorrow morning and have him, I know he stops in there, check things. If he's
That'd be great, Joel.
ask him if he's
Yeah.
noticed anything different.
I hope I'm totally wrong about that, but it looked, if not, it looks serious.
Thanks, John.
Can I, this is Meredith. I went into Howden Hall last week, just to do a basic check. I didn't see any moisture, but I wasn't looking at the windows. I was just going in and checking out the basement. But Reg was there, and he says he's been going quite a bit, so he'll definitely be able to answer that.
Okay. Cool.
I know.
Go ahead, Ian.
I was gonna say, I know that I think the curtains that were on the inside of the windows had been removed, I believe, just because there was mold building up on. So there could be problems with moisture in the building at various times of the year. But so it'd be a good thing to check into.
If I could for a sec, sometimes if curtains are up and the windows are not clean for like a year, it lets the mold get a jump behind the curtains. I've had tenants who don't clean their windows for like 2 years, and they say, hey, I got a mold problem. And I go and I pull the curtains back, and they do have a mold problem, and we clean it up and all that, but it happens because the curtains don't get opened enough or the windows don't get cleaned enough, and it gets away from you if you're not careful.
Okay. All right, so Joel, you'll talk to Reg?
I will.
Okay. Anybody have anything else they want to discuss about the goals and?
I have a question in terms of, sorry, Valerie, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, and we can come back and revisit this from time to time.
Right. I was going to say, are there particular ways that the select board would like to see this on the website? Like Valerie and I can work on this and just, Joel talked about, having, I think it was Joel, having the past projects sort of highlighted, which would be nice to sort of see what's been accomplished. But are there any particular areas where you would naturally look for projects? We do have an upcoming projects sort of like link at the or the left-hand side navigation bar, but are there any other suggestions, or should Valerie and I just sort of work on where we might want to present this stuff?
I mean, I don't think I have any specific, I mean, because we don't really have anything in a priority list.
Right. It's sort of, it's random. The projects are random, but they do fit into certain areas. And so
Right.
one of the questions I've had before being a select board member and working on the website stuff was, do you put a number of things under upcoming projects? Do you have them in the particular area or department that they fall under? Does it get more complicated? You know, part of this too is for us. So when we think about projects, there is an online resource for us to look at. So it has to make sense to us, and we have to understand it as well as members of the community.
Is there a way to denote things that are like in progress too, AN? Could they be color coded or something to that effect?
Yeah, or we could maybe tag them or something like that. I think if we move towards a more modern theme and website design, that will give us sort of more ability to have lots of information and be able to disseminate it in different ways. And so then maybe that's something we can explore. Sort of tags are a nice thing that's sort of universal and are fairly well understood. And so you could have things in certain places, but also tag them in unique ways, so you could group and find information that way. Okay, I guess Valerie and I we'll work on that together and see how far we get and present maybe next meeting, have some of those things online, or the meeting after that, next meeting.
Okay,
All right, I'm gonna stop my share.
thank you. Okay, next, approval of minutes. So what do we have? We had the March, and now I don't know what I did with them. We have the April 16th and March 30th, right?
Says
You're,
here-
you're muted, Val, if you're talking.
So there's April 16th, April 13th, and March 30th came out this afternoon.
Oh, I didn't see the April 13th, so I haven't looked at that one. Okay.
How about the first three on the list here, Valerie? February 17th.
I'm working on it.
Remember, we're not writing War and Peace.
I know. That's not the problem.
Okay.
We got some out there from 18. I don't even remember that. I don't know
You
how
don't remember last. You don't remember last
how
week,
I could
Bill.
prove. I don't know how I could prove minutes from 2018 now. Honestly, people, we got some over 2 years old.
That's why we have neat.
I'm just saying, how can we sit here and approve it as a board of stuff that's over 2 years old? Can we remember it? I can hardly remember what I did last month.
Where do you see the 18th or 2018?
There's 6 of them from 2018 and there's one from 2019. So I would love to just see those start before we start with February's. I mean, I can send you guys the updated sheet as well.
Okay. Well, Tasha, you can send it to me, Tasha, and I'll look at it if you want. So we have March 30th, April 13th, and April 16th.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And on the March 30th, there should be a correction to the copy that was sent to you after the executive session, that the select board came out and made a motion to offer Jen, and I put this in an email to you guys, that to add the treasurer position offer to Jen.
Okay.
Can you list those dates off one more time that are done?
March 30th of 2019, April 13th, 2019.
No, 2020.
I'm sorry, 2020, all of them. March 30, 2020, April 13, 2020, and April 16, 2020.
Okay.
Okay, so I sent you a small change, Val, for March 30th. And the April 16th, the only question I had is on the lease term, our discussion about the acorn.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we had said it would be reevaluated to be a total of 11 to 13,000 for the first year, and then rental payments would stay the same, and the tax payments would increase or decrease in accordance with the tax rate. So I wasn't sure if what you had put in there was exactly that, but I just wanted to clarify.
Well, we should make sure that they reflect what the select board understood or thought they were making. Do you need me to put that on the screen if I can?
Do the rest of them, have the rest of them seen them? I mean, I think that was the only thing I would say is that the taxes would fluctuate or change in accordance with the tax rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the taxes will be based on the assessment times the tax rate, the yearly tax rate.
And I think if you put that in there, then that would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any other change? I haven't read the April 13th one, so I can't comment on those. Anybody else? So somebody want to make a motion to approve at least the 30th and the 16th?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes as described.
Including April 13th?
Yes. If that's what.
I haven't read those yet. Have you?
No.
Okay, don't approve them.
I've read some of them.
Approve the March 30th and the April 16th.
Okay, so moved.
Somebody want a second?
As amended.
As amended, yes. Okay, so Ian,
I haven't read the amendment yet.
as we just discussed.
Yeah.
You hear me.
Yes. Okay, Ian second that, Tasha, if you didn't hear him. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye, wave your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Looks like that other business. Valerie, got anything we need to know that's in other business?
Not that I know of. In the TA report now online are the correspondences that have been listed.
Okay.
And there are reports that Jen prepared, third quarter budget status reports for the police department, water and sewer and general fund. We received a letter of resignation from Teresa Guile as an elected lister.
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you to Teresa for all her years of service. Much appreciated. Okay. All right. Nothing else for the TA report then, Val?
Nothing to add to what was written.
Okay, so we need to go into executive session.
We forget a bunch of stuff?
Did I miss stuff?
Well, there's warrants and select board roundtable.
Oh, you were right. I'm sorry.
And accounts payable warrant, liquor license?
Yep, you are right. I breezed right by that. Okay, accounts payable warrant. Are there any liquor licenses? Do you know, Valerie?
Jen said there was one for Hatch.
That's one, yeah.
Okay, so.
And an outside consumption permit for him too.
I have the amount, by the way, so I'm good with
You have
that.
the amount already?
Okay.
So the So will a couple of us stop by and look at the, look and sign the warrant and look at the outside, did she tell you who it was, Joel? What the outside consumption permit was in that?
Hatch.
Hatch?
One.
Okay.
That's what it said in the email today from her with the check warrants. She sent 2 emails. The second check warrant, Tasha, make sure it's because she added on the eye insurance or some kind of insurance for something.
Right.
The email you sent only had the one attachment, so the one amount.
What's the
So
amount
it
you have,
should-
Tasha?
Tasha, it should be 33,259.51.
Okay, no, I had the 183.
Yeah, I didn't
so
send her the second one.
259 what?
51.
51. Okay, thanks.
Okay. I don't remember reading that, Joel, so.
Well, the first one she said that she had also a couple liquor license to sign and an outside consumption permit for Hatch 50.
Okay. All right. So we'll just at least 3 of us will stop by and sign.
Okay.
I can probably do that sometime tomorrow, I think, tomorrow, Wednesday. Okay, anything else on the warrant? Accounts payable? Okay, select board roundtable. Ian, we'll start with you.
I'm okay. Everything's sort of been covered at our meeting tonight.
Okay. Beaker?
I'm good.
Darla? You're muted.
I don't have anything for this evening.
Okay, Jolie?
Well, I'm glad you don't because I got a bunch of stuff. Let's talk with the garbage on the park. In the email on Friday. Okay?
Yep. Yep.
Or last Wednesday. I had Louis go up. I called him. That thing had hardly any garbage in it. It was a pizza box stuffed in that little tiny hole, and it didn't only get barely into the hole. That's why the garbage was piled on top, and it was almost empty. But he went up anyway, and it was empty the Friday before that. And he's had some complaints from the tenants that he's picking up the garbage too late or too early at 5:30 in the morning on the park and on Main Street, and they'd like him to do it in the middle of the afternoon. And I says, can you get in there? And he says, no. And I said, well, you continue what you've been doing. And welcome to the big city. And so that I'll put that to bed and leave that alone.
Wait a minute, Joel. Why are they complaining? I mean, if they know he comes at 5:30 in the morning, why can't they get their garbage out
No,
the night before?
people are complaining he's waking them up.
Oh,
People are complaining he's waking them up.
that and then any other truck that goes through at 5:30 in the morning.
Right. So, have we heard anything more on them? Are we still going to keep the Mountain Street sidewalk between Fred Bazer's and Field? Is that still scheduled as soon as they can open up?
Yes.
Okay. You saw the water report from Jill. I think some of you did, maybe. Valerie, I don't know if you sent it to everybody. Jill sent it to me I asked her the question of how much we pump water versus how much we sell. And they determined some of it, the leakage was from the blow off, that 1-inch blow off up determined so the line doesn't freeze on Rocky Dale Road behind Randy Sargent's.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked the question, it's a 1-inch blow off, and this is more of a question maybe for you, Peaker. Why can't that pipe be reduced to maybe a quarter or to a 1/2 inch pipe? I mean, blow off all winter long. That's blowing off about 26,000 gallons of water a day, people. You think we're pumping some water, there's a good sign of it right there. So I just asked that question. And then today we got the pay orders from Sharon. I asked the question, why is Sharon doing the pay orders? Isn't that the treasurer's job? I just didn't know. I just asked the question. If they're pay orders and got to be paid, I think those would come from the treasurer and not from Sharon, the clerk.
Sharon's been doing it for quite a long time. I don't know how it is they came to the decision for her to do it and not Jen.
Because they used to come from Jen. I thought so. Well, did they come from Jen when she was clerk, or, I thought if it's a pay order, that's a treasurer's item. I think the treasurer ought to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm dead wrong on that, but
Well, I know that Sharon assists with entering the data into the system to produce the sheet.
Okay.
That's been happening since back when I was working there. So it's been going on for a while.
What's that? The clerk puts them out, or the treasurer?
That Sharon was the one that we gave our pay requests to, and she was doing the data.
Okay.
And it could be more, it could have been more as the administrative assistant role.
Right,
Being
that's what I was
administrative
thinking.
assistant to the treasurer. And so that was something that she could do.
Because it was ironically, in about an hour or two later, that's when we got the second email that said, oh, a pay order came in Saturday. So I thought I'd put it in tonight's payroll. So there's one, that's why it was $500-600 more than I gave Tasha the first time. Because I forwarded the pay orders to Tasha the first time, so she'd have it for tonight's meeting.
Mhm.
So, and that's all I have.
So
Okay.
to address the trash thing, Joel, thank you very much for calling R&L. I very much appreciate that. It sucks that there was a pizza box stuffed in there that was preventing most of the trash going into the trash can and just
And you're
spilling out
absolutely-
all over the.
I'm sorry, Ian.
No, it's okay. And just like spilling out.
I know you've had concerns of those barrels on the park or on Main Street, those little tiny round things, and they were a concern when Therese got those for a grant a few years ago. You can't put anything, a coffee cup or a gum wrapper or
I know.
candy wrapper. You're absolutely.
Therese isn't the one that decided on those.
You're right. Therese wasn't the one.
That's
Those
right.
were
It was one of the.
specified by some kind of a grant. If we were going to get the grant, we had to get this kind.
Well, no, it wasn't it. Carol that did the.
I don't know who to point the finger at. I'm not saying
It was
no.
town and the.
There's no blame here.
It was
It's just,
no. It was the town and the downtown community partnership. It was sort
Right.
of, and at the time, you know, I wasn't involved with the decision of picking those, but they looked good and they were well recommended. I mean, they're nice and sturdy. It's
Right.
very hard to break them, but also part of the concept was to reduce the huge barrels that we used to have and the amount of trash that we would get. I think that does work. So a couple things I want to propose. I would like to see the trash can stay on the park. I think it's very useful. I think Ted is absolutely right before when he proposed that it be put there, that you'll just see more trash end up in the park. I can see Eric shaking his head. And so, so I'd like to see that stay there, but I do think, you know, I know that we've had problems with just pickup in the past. If they're up to speed and they're grabbing it every week, that's great. And if it's just a large pizza box. So two things. I'd like to work with Randy Sargent, and I've already started discussing this with him, to maybe redesign just the top of the trash cans. And what we would do is we would cut larger openings for both recycling and trash, maybe just trash and not recycling, cut it wider, and then redesign the way that the top rain protection is attached. And we'd re-weld it and put it down the center instead of having it as a 3-point access. I think it'd be plenty strong, and it would just give you a nice area to put your trash into, and we would remove the lip so you wouldn't be able to sit trash in there. So that's something I'd like to explore with him. It shouldn't cost very much, and we can just take one of them and just have him chop it up when we get to that point and rebuild it. And he said he'd be able to do that for us. So that's one thing. The second thing, which I'm going to forget right now. Oh, so the second thing was in terms of requiring businesses who have takeout containers like Cupboards or like the Walgreens or whatever to have trash cans by their businesses. I know that Rite Aid used to have a trash can that sat outside and has just disappeared and is no longer there. I don't think Cupboards has ever had trash, even though there's a lot of pizza boxes that get jammed in those trash cans because they have takeout. And I don't know what the other select board members' thoughts are about asking businesses who have takeaway containers to provide trash cans near their businesses.
The problem with is most of the time when they take it out, they aren't right there. They take it over to the park and dump it in the can over there.
This was probably a family maybe went over to, it was over by the playground. Maybe they went, had pizza and played to get the kids to play, and then they were done. They did the responsible thing and threw it in the trash, but and it was a small container. You're trying to put 5 gallons of water in a 10 gallons of water in a 5-gallon pail. It wouldn't fit.
Hey, Joel, do you know the where the municipal building used to be, and they've made that park with the college?
Yep.
Down there. Have you seen the trash cans down there that are on the pole?
I've seen them and I haven't really paid much attention. I can
I'm
take,
curious if would that would work up here. Are they too small or would it work? I mean, because they're like on a pole up off the ground. They aren't as big as the ones that we have, but they have the separate sections for garbage and
Right.
recycling.
And they have the rain protection, but it's a nice opening.
maybe
to
for
put stuff in,
lunchtime, I'll
and
walk up there
there's
and
no
see,
lip.
take some pictures.
I don't know if Eric, if you know those trash cans in Middlebury.
I'll walk up there tomorrow during lunch and I'll take a picture and
Yeah.
send it to everybody on the board.
They're definitely a more modern look,
Right.
but I'd entertain anything that improves how people can dispose of trash. And I would like to see something where businesses who do have takeout are asked to provide trash. I mean, you know, if you have the option where you take the pizza and you see that you can't stuff the pizza box in our trash can, if Covers had a large trash can that looked nice outside their business, they might come back and put their Covers trash in Covers trash can. But I don't know how to approach that in terms of and how we deal with that on Main Street.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to walk all the way back in the playground, back to Covers to put their trash in.
No, I know.
On the other hand, you make them too big, and that's what we found out. They had green garbage bags in them from the second story apartments. You know, go out late at night and do the dumpster dive, and you'll throw your bag of garbage in. And,
yeah.
Groups has to get involved. We have to end up going through the trash to see if we find the letter in there. So,
yeah. You had a thought, Eric?
Well, yeah, the only thing that you're going to have is who's going to pay for the trash removal of the business's trash cans. Is the town going to do it? Is the businesses going to do it? And then if you say that the businesses are going to do it, then they're going to say, well, that's not all my trash. Because you could have somebody that could take something from, let's just say, Snaps, and walk up street, finish whatever they got, throw it in cupboards.
Yep.
Yeah.
you know, you make a point, Michelle. Oops, I'm sorry. You make a point, Michelle, about Middlebury. From the post, there's one in front of the post office, and there isn't another one until you get down to the Rotary. Not one trash can on Main Street in Middlebury. There's ones on the park, but that's it. In the Triangle Park, that's all tore up right now. One up by the post office. Or is there one up by the post office? And there isn't, but there isn't. I don't see a down through Main Street.
Isn't there one on the Battery where the cannon is, the Cannon Park?
Yes, there's one way up there by the Rotary. Yep.
Yeah, no, right. Well, there's nowhere to put one.
Right.
Right. I mean, I think we have the right amount of cans. I think the trash service is good. I think a slight redesign of our trash cans would actually fix most of the problems. If you remove the lip, trash will fall in the trash can, and we shouldn't have these issues. And I don't know of issues recently. Well, recently is a little bit confusing now, but in terms of residents on Main Street putting their trash in trash cans. And sometimes it's just something we're going to have to do in terms of figuring out whose trash is which. And sometimes it's going to be residents who haven't been told by their landlord how to dispose of their trash, and they don't know how to do it. And that's part of the problem too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we haven't had that issue in quite a while.
Which is good.
The ones hanging off the pole, like Middlebury has, maybe on our new light poles. They have pros and cons either way on that.
Right.
It wouldn't be in the way for snow removal in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'll look at send pictures.
Okay.
Buddy.
All right. Anything else, Joel?
Nope.
Okay. Town administrator's report. Now I'll come back to that, Valerie. Unmute.
I have nothing to add.
Okay. All right. Executive session. We have contract negotiations, labor relations, pending litigation, and personnel. We have all four.
I don't believe we have contract. No, I guess we do with the solar array. So yes, all four.
Okay. Are we going to go right from this? You're going to send us a new meeting invite?
A new meeting invite. This one ends at 10 o'clock.
Okay. I'll make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss contract negotiations, labor relations, pending litigation, and personnel matters per 1 VSA section 313.
Michelle, what was the fourth one? I just have the contract negotiations, labor relations, and personnel matters. What was the fourth one?
Pending litigation.
Okay, thank you.
Ian, can you text me the ID and password? I can get it from you.
Somebody want a second?
Second.
I second it.
Second.
We
All
all
those
did.
in favor? Are we invited Bruce?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, we'll have to invite Bruce. Anybody else that has to be involved? Val?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Means
All
I
right,
can
all those in
leave.
favor?
Eric can leave. He's free.
Yeah,
Eric,
free.
you're it?
Oh, thank you.
See
Thanks,
you,
Eric.
Eric.
All right, have a good night, you guys.
You too.
Yep.
Any opposed? Yay.
Bye,
Executive
guys.
session. Look for your
I have a-
email. See you, Tasha.
I have
Thank you.
Hold on.
I have a question first.
Yeah, go ahead,
Do
Dan.
we need executive session for the solar? I thought we just agreed to do that. Does
No,
that need
this
to
is
be
the
executive session?
actual contract, the lease agreement that they sent us.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Watch your
See you in a
email for the
minute.
next invite.
Okay.
Yep.
Bye.